You want to get better at FC25 now? Before you skip ahead, what if I told you if you don't get better after 1 month, I'll refund your money? That's the Nil Guys guarantee. We got in-depth tutorials that are not even on the YouTube channel. We show you the theory of something and we show you gameplay examples in a structured format. We also go over real-life football examples that apply to the game and exclusive pro gameplay analysis, full gameplay analysis to elevate your game. We teach you everything from the basics to the meta. Come join at patreon.com/Nil Guys. Links down below in the description. If you don't get better after 1 month, we'll refund your money. That's the Nil Guys guarantee. Links down below in the description. What's going on, guys? We're going to go over the 4-2-3-1 custom tactics. Now, the big question remains, why wasn't this as prevalent or as common as the 4-2-1-3? Well, there was two things that happened. When the game came out, the 4-2-3-1 was met from day one. The issue was, it was the cams. Many people didn't have that many cams. Only a few cams that had pace, players like Foden, but most of the cams like a Bruno Fernandes, they were all too slow and you couldn't utilize these wide players. Whereas now you can, you know, the Ranieri card that came out. I've got Dembele as a Team of the Year blueprint. And you got Zidane. There's so many more cards that have come out. The why the 4-2-3-1 and this one in particular is so superior is because you play with a cam almost playing like a shadow striker. The big mistake people make is they play someone like Bruno Fernandes here, where you should be playing here a second striker. I'll go over that in a second as well. But what we set this up is when you're attacking, you have almost like that 4-2-3-1 classic layout, and then we have, for example, a left back and a right back on a wing back. Now, because you have two CDMs, I think you can get away with two players now wing back. You know, in the first week of January when the patch came out, or second week rather, I was saying a bit more conservative. With two CDMs, you can afford to be a bit aggressive. And as you know, you can always change this if you want to. So we're going to start off with a striker, advanced forward. You can use a poacher as well. But in a singular striker, me personally speaking, I like to play an advanced forward because sometimes I distribute to the ball to their feet directly. For the cam now, look, you can go with a more conservative playmaker. There's nothing wrong with it. But for me, the way this formation really excels is that you have one striker behind another one. Especially now post-patch when the defensive AI got nerfed. The benefit of that player is now you can only really rely on one striker. Before you need your wingers, where to be honest now, with one striker you're fine. But I think really with a shadow striker, you really create a better attack. Now for the Lamb and the Ram, I've gone with playmaker balanced. They're going to play a bit more narrow. They're not going to be, so if you think of this and you compare this to the 4-2-1-3, you have traditional wingers, right? Left wing and a right wing. Whereas these players are going to be a bit more central. So if you're the kind of player there and you're sitting there thinking, you know what, Neil, I like playing that passing game, or I like scoring finesse shots, then this is where this system will work very well for you. It's why I actually use the 4-2-2 instead of the 4-4-2 sometimes, is because I like the narrower players. I can always go wide if I want to with the fullbacks, but I want my wide cams and my wide striker. That's why people play inside forwards effectively. If you wanted to make them traditionally wide, you can, for example, go with a half winger if you wanted to, and they will still come back and defend a little bit. You can argue when you lose the ball, you'll be in some sort of a 4-4-1-1 shape. But then without the ball, you're going to be a bit in trouble. So same as Shadow Striker, they're going to stay forward. So I think Playmaker is perfect to use, okay? Then when we go over to, you can say the traditional CDMs, you've got one of them on holding, one of them on deep line Playmaker. I think one of them on holding, the good thing is one kind of steps a little bit forward, so they're not in line. When you have two CDMs and they're in line together, with one just a bit more forward, it's harder for your opponent to mark, especially if you're playing like a two-center mid formation, because one will technically be always free, because a traditional opponent's line will basically sit flat, and when you have one that's off-center, you have that space. So that's why I like it personally. Or you have that space that I want to and get it behind and exploit the space with someone else. So I go with holding and a deep line playmaker. I put Militao here. Don't get confused. This guy is not bad. He's not going to anticipate. He's got pinged pass play style. I evoed him way back. Anticipated evolution come out. So he's got the pinged play style plus an old evo that I did. And the left back and right back, we've got them on wing back balance. If you want to, you can leave them on on defend. I was going to say wing back defend, but you can leave them on full back defend if you really want to. Or what you could do, let's say for example, you want to make one of them go forward. What I'd recommend is the person that's got on this side, you can put them here as a wing back, and the person on the other side, in this case Mendy, although he's got the plus, it's better to put them on a full back defend because the deep line playmaker sits a bit deeper. Or one thing you could do is you can change this to a wide half so they cover for that position. But in my opinion, I don't think you need that. You can literally just play a deep line playmaker and you're good to go. But I would recommend them both on wing back balanced. And you're defending a 4-2-3-1, and you're attacking basically some sort of a 4-2-3-1 with a left back and right back providing support. Now, what's the key thing with this formation is it's basically almost like a 4-4-2, okay? Think of this like the 4-4-2, but except for you got a cam and a striker. Instead of two strikers up front, you got a cam and a striker. Think of this like a 4-2-2, but instead of two strikers, you got a cam and a striker. It's one of the best formations for attacking and defensively. It's always been a top 3 formation. It never got knocked out. It's only because of lack of players and what was available is the reason why. But a fantastic formation nonetheless. Then we go over to tactics, right? So the actual tactics itself. So the build-up style definitely go with counter. It's not like the olden days where those cams don't make those runs, but playmakers, they don't make those runs in behind, and they don't go into those roles, those positions, I should say, rather, that an inside forward gets into. So that is probably one of the only downsides. I would recommend counter. And the defensive approach, you can go a bit higher. I think at this stage of the game, you should be going a bit higher. I think now, in the first week or so, I wanted to be careful what I release, because if I told you to use 70 depth, you probably get destroyed. But if you're asking me what I play on all my accounts, I'm playing 70 depth. You might be thinking, why have you been telling me 45? But the reason why is because when the patch came out, you were struggling to defend as well. And if I gave you 70 depth then, you would have gone completely backwards. At least now with 45, you understand how to defend, keep a line in shape. Now you can afford to be more aggressive. If you know you're struggling, drop this down to 60. I think 60 is a good, appropriate balance where the team is high enough for you to attack, but you can always press normally if you want to. And that is tactics. It's also very similar to the 4-4-1-1. The main thing is that these have CDM, so defensively you're a bit more stable. So you can argue compared to the 4-4-1-1, this is more of a safer formation because you still have the striker and a player behind the striker, except for now you've got two CDMs that sit a bit deeper. And then you have that lamb and a ram. Now, you could make them half wingers if you want to, make it like a 4-4-1-1 with two CDMs. At that point, you might as well use the 4-2-3-1 second variation, but it gives you that variety, and that's the key thing here. I think a lot of you guys like the playmaker. If you like playing that, I'm not saying tiki-taka, but let's say you like to do those short knit passes between the players, then the benefit of this is that they're all quite close together. They're not secluded together like a 4-1-2-2 second variation, don't get me wrong, but those cams are in perfect position where they're basically in between the half spaces. So if you want to, if you did a through ball, you can still run down the wing with those players. That's what I'm trying to say. This player here and this player here, you need pace. When the game came out, you never had quick players in these positions, and that's what made the formation feel very lackluster, very lethargic. It felt very slow and sluggish, and people were using balance because they thought counter was bad. So that was the reason why people didn't understand it. But if you look back, see these tactics, they're not too far away from the tactics of release on the first day. So thankfully the patch has opened it up and made it even better, but it's a very, very good tactic. A lot of the pros still play this formation, but you do need the players. As I said, as long as you've got an all-round striker here, pace over here, and someone that's got a bit of everything, if you've got a pinged pass or tiki-taka playstyle, or if you like to do finesse shots, even better. But any of those playstyles here will work very, very well. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Take it easy, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.